Did you know that the parts of an Airbus plane are made in different countries around the world? Yeah, it's almost like massive pieces of a puzzle brought together to give you the ultimate flying experience. But first, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Imagine you're drawing your dream airplane. You'd start with a big idea, right? Well, that's exactly what Airbus engineers do, but on a much larger scale. They begin with a concept and think about what the new airplane should do. Should it fly longer distances, carry more passengers, or be more fuel efficient? These are the questions they ask themselves. Once they have a clear idea, they move on to the next step, which is to create detailed plans. But this isn't just about sketching. It's about precision, so they use advanced computer programs to design every part of the airplane. These programs help them see how different parts will fit together and how the airplane will perform in the sky. But designing an airplane isn't just about making it look good. Safety is the top priority. The engineers must ensure that the airplane can handle various conditions, from turbulent weather to different weights of cargo and passengers. They run simulations to test how the airplane will respond in different scenarios. This way, they can identify and fix potential issues before the airplane is even built. Now, you might think that once the design is complete, the work is done. However, that's not the case because the design process is ongoing. Engineers continually refine their plans and make adjustments to improve performance, efficiency, and safety. They collaborate with experts from different fields, such as aerodynamics, material science, and avionics, to ensure that every aspect of the airplane is optimized. Now, here's an interesting fact. Airbus has design offices and engineering centers worldwide. And while the main design office is in Toulouse, France, there are also centers in Germany, Spain, the UK, and even as far as North America, India, and China. This global collaboration brings together the best minds to create innovative and efficient airplanes. But designing the plane is only the beginning, as there's a lot more work to be done for an Airbus to fully take shape. Once the design is finalized, it's time to bring the airplane to life by building its various parts. Like I mentioned earlier, Airbus doesn't build all the parts in one place. Instead, different factories around the world specialize in making specific components. For example, the wings of many Airbus airplanes are built in the United Kingdom. The Broughton factory in Wales is renowned for its expertise in wing manufacturing. Here, skilled workers and advanced machinery come together to create these essential parts, ensuring they meet the highest standards of quality and precision. Meanwhile, in Germany, the city of Hamburg plays a crucial role in the production process. Here, sections of the fuselage, including the main body of the airplane, are assembled. This facility is also responsible for installing the cabin interiors and ensuring that passengers have a comfortable and safe environment during their flights. Spain is another key player in Airbus's manufacturing network. The Getafe plant, located near Madrid, is responsible for producing tail sections and other components. This site has a long history in aviation and continues to contribute significantly to Airbus's success. Once the parts have been built according to the specifications of the Airbus design, the job is still not done. This is because the parts that have been manufactured in different countries have to be brought to one place where they are assembled. So, if you think building the parts of an Airbus is difficult, wait till you hear about the unique transportation system Airbus uses to bring all the plane's components together. You'll be surprised. Now comes the most exciting part. After months of designing and building parts in different countries, everything is finally coming together. But here's something crazy. Airbus doesn't just use trucks or ships to move these massive airplane parts. Did you know they have their own fleet of giant planes called beluga transporters? Yep, because Airbus' philosophy is, if we want our parts transported right, then we'll transportate them ourselves. Now, these transport planes are named after beluga whales because they have huge, round heads that can fit enormous cargo inside. And when I say enormous, I mean entire airplane wings and fuselage sections. These beluga planes pick up the different parts from factories all over Europe and deliver them to Airbus's final assembly lines. The biggest one is in Toulouse, France, but there are others in Germany, Spain, and China. Once the parts arrive, it's time to get down to some serious business. This is where the airplane starts looking like an actual airplane. First, the fuselage, or the body of the plane, is placed on a special platform. Think of it like the backbone of the whole structure. After that, the wings are attached. But this is a delicate process, because if they're not perfectly aligned, the plane won't be able to fly safely. For this reason, engineers use high-tech machines and laser measurements to make sure everything is in the right position down to the millimeter. After the wings are secured, the tail is added. The tail helps keep the plane stable in the air, so it must be attached with extreme precision. By this point, the airplane is starting to take shape, but it still needs a lot more work before it can fly. Now it's time to install the plane's most important systems. Workers add the engines, which are like the muscles of the plane that provide the power to take off and fly. It is worth mentioning that Airbus uses engines from top manufacturers like Rolls-Royce and Pratt & Whitney, and they are carefully fitted under the wings. At the same time, thousands of wires and circuits are connected inside the aircraft. This is what makes the plane's computers, lights, and controls work. Imagine trying to connect thousands of tiny puzzle pieces inside a machine that will fly at 35,000 feet. That's exactly what Airbus engineers do, and they have to get it 100% right. Inside the plane, the cockpit is also coming to life. The pilot's seats, buttons, and screens are installed, and everything is connected to the plane's brain, also known as the flight control system. This system is what helps the pilot steer the plane and keep it balanced in the sky. Not an easy task, but even at this stage, the Airbus is still not complete, because the next step is equally crucial. At this point, the airplane looks almost complete. The wings are attached, the engines are in place, and the body is fully assembled, but it's still missing its identity. And that's where the finishing touches come in. First, the plane heads to the paint shop, where it gets a fresh coat of paint in the airline's colors. And if you've ever wondered how those massive planes end up looking so sleek and polished, this is how. It's not as simple as grabbing a paintbrush and going at it. The entire process can take up to 2 weeks because the paint has to be applied in layers, dried properly, and carefully inspected to make sure it's smooth and even. The airline's logo and branding are also added, making the plane instantly recognizable. But painting is just the beginning. Next, workers install everything inside the cabin. This includes the seats, carpets, overhead bins, tray tables, and bathrooms. Even tiny details like seatbelt buckles and reading lights must be put in place. For luxury airlines, this step is even more complicated because they might have private suites, fancy lighting, and high-tech entertainment systems to install. Everything has to be done with extreme precision because once the plane is in service, it will carry thousands of passengers, and any small mistake could turn into a big problem later. Now you might think that since the plane looks perfect from the outside and the inside, it's ready to fly. But that's not how it works. Before a brand new Airbus airplane is allowed to carry passengers, it has to go through some of the toughest tests in the aviation world. First, engineers carefully inspect every single part of the aircraft. They don't just look at the big things like the wings and engines. They check the tiniest bolts, wiring, and electronic systems to make sure everything is functioning properly. The landing gear is also tested to see if it can handle the enormous weight of the plane. Then, the fuel system is examined to ensure there are no leaks. Even the cabin pressure and oxygen masks are tested to guarantee that passengers can breathe safely at high altitudes. After the ground inspections are complete, it's time for the real challenge, the test flights. But these are no ordinary flights. Instead of carrying passengers, the plane is flown by test pilots who push it to its limits. They take it through extreme weather conditions, sharp turns, and sudden climbs to see how it responds. They also test how the plane performs in emergency situations, like engine failures or hydraulic system malfunctions. These flights can last several hours, and every movement of the aircraft is recorded and analyzed to ensure it meets Airbus's strict safety standards. But the testing doesn't even stop there. Even after the test flights, the plane goes through more checks. Engineers will review all the data, fix any minor issues, and run final inspections. And once the plane has successfully passed every test, it finally receives certification from aviation authorities. This certification is like a passport that allows the aircraft to officially enter service. Now the plane is ready to be delivered to its airline. And while some planes are flown directly to the airline's headquarters, others might be picked up by airline pilots. And just like that, a brand new Airbus airplane is born, ready to take passengers to destinations all over the world. Now, I have to mention that not just anyone can hop into the cockpit and fly an Airbus. It takes years of training, strict tests, and a whole lot of skill to become an Airbus pilot. You may think it's just about pushing buttons and pulling levers, but it's way more complicated than that. First, a pilot needs a commercial pilot's license. That alone takes hundreds of hours of flying experience. But flying a small plane isn't the same as flying a massive Airbus. That's why pilots have to go through special training just for these big jets. They spend hours in high-tech simulators, which are like giant video games that feel exactly like flying a real plane. These simulators can even create bad weather, emergency situations, and engine failures, so pilots can practice handling tough situations. But even after all that, they're not fully ready. To fly an Airbus for a major airline, pilots must get an official certification for that specific Airbus model. An A320, for example, is different from an A350, so pilots need extra training for each one. And once they start flying passengers, the training never really stops. Airlines regularly test pilots to make sure their skills stay sharp. They even have to pass medical exams to prove they're healthy enough to handle long flights. So the next time you're sitting on an Airbus, just remember that the person flying it didn't just wake up one day and sat in the cockpit. They spent years learning, training, and proving they're capable of flying you safely to your destination. That's why flying an Airbus isn't just a job.